Welcome back to the Rockman Power Hour, a podcast where we talk to the most interesting people in the world of pop culture and everything in between. And this week on the show, we are joined by none other than Ian Thornley of Big Wreck. Welcome back to the Rockman Power Hour, a podcast where we talk to the most interesting people in the world of pop culture and everything in between. I'm very, very excited about this week's guest. He's been on the show before, but before we get to that, let's bring in my co-host, Ryan Stick. Ryan, we are both fans of Big Wreck. I think we both really enjoy talking to Ian. He's wonderful. He's a great dude, man.
Great dude. And this time around, it was cool. It was like, it's like, oh, hi again. And that's always nice. I like returning guests.
It is fun. It is fun.
As opposed to when they first show up and it's like, please like me.
What's great is that you feel like you have a trust and you've built a bit of a relationship, and I've always been a fan of Ian and of Big Wreck. I think that the band is probably one of the best bands to come out of Canada ever. I think Ian's a national treasure, man. He's up there on the Mount Rushmore of great Canadian songwriters and guitar players. And he's humble, man. He gets it. He knows, he knows the game. He's been doing it long enough. There's no airs of, about him. He's just there to play music. And it attests to that when he shows up and he's got a guitar on his lap, and he always has a guitar on his lap when you talk to him, which is great because it means he's always noodling and he's always staying limber. And that's how you are a great, if you ever look at Eddie Van Halen, he always had a guitar with him, always.
Yeah.
So I think that's how you stay really, really sharp and you stay good.
Yeah, there's a general interest. There's a general interest in just becoming even a better guitar player, even after all this time.
Yeah.
After all the accolades and the awards and everything, he's still interested in getting better. And that's nice. Please, Stadium Rock Acts, take note.
No, I agree. But I'm glad we got to chat with him again. The new album is coming out October 24th. So when you're watching this, the album will probably be coming out this week. He's playing Toronto tonight, actually, at the Phoenix Theater, or would have been yesterday. But the tour that everyone's going to be able to go to across Canada and North America is the one in February, which is going to be with Live and Econoline Crush and Montreal's Damn Truth too. So that's really rad. But I'm excited about this. The new album's really, really good. It's called The Story So Far, and it'll be out October 24th. Without any further ado, here's our chat with none other than Ian Thornley of Big Wreck. So very nice to see you again.
Good to see you too.
Thanks for coming on and doing this with us. It's crazy. I was at the Korn show in Toronto at Budweiser stage, I guess maybe a year and a half ago. And I was backstage waiting to say hi to my friend Ray, who plays drums for Korn. And I'm talking to this guy and he's super nice and we're chatting after. And he's like, add me on Instagram. So we start talking and I'm like, yeah, it was really nice to meet you tonight. He goes, yeah. I'm like, what do you do? He goes, I play in Big Wreck. I'm like, what? Because yeah, I was there with Ian. And I was like, I didn't even fucking recognize you. Because you kind of had what you have going on now. You had glasses on, you had a hat, didn't even know. So you do the low key really well. And then after I was like, why didn't I fucking say hi?
Yeah. Yeah, no, that was a fun show. It was, and Ray's a really sweet guy, man.
The nicest.
Good dude.
And probably has some of the best stories ever. I mean, I got to see him a couple of times on the last run with Gojira in Ottawa and in Montreal, and he has some of the best stories ever about playing with David Lee Roth.
Yeah, we didn't get that far down the track, but I'm sure there's some humdingers.
Oh yeah. But it's good to see you again. It's good to see that you got a new record coming out next week. It's the rest of the story.
Yeah.
And you've got a great story, and it's one that I always love to catch up with you and chat about, because I've always said this for years. You're one of those guys that just you're to me, you're the guy in Canada when it comes to songwriting, playing guitar, just always knocking it out of the park. And after listening to this record, we were supposed to talk last week and we had our signals crossed, but I really got to sit with the album and it's solid, man. And you're delivering on all fronts.
Thanks, man. Appreciate that. Yeah, that's well, I've done a few of these. That's we were supposed to do this last week.
Yeah.
And the guy that was before you ran on.
Wouldn't shut up.
Yeah, it was a lot. But anyway, yeah. And what I was saying to them and what I've been saying about it, it's that this is all these songs were all recorded at the same time as Pages. And I think the initial idea was to have 3 EPs like we did on the last record, which is the same concept. We recorded a bunch of music and then just sort of release it in bite-sized chunks. But I was sort of voted out of that idea.
Right.
So, yeah, we just kind of took what would be the next 2 EPs and put them together to make a full-length record. So.
And you haven't, being someone that you were used to that formula and then kind of stepping away from it. You mentioned that you kind of lost out on the vote to do it this way. Do you prefer doing it the other way?
Well, we only tried it once.
Right.
It was like smack dab in the middle of COVID. So
yeah,
I feel like it never really got its due. It didn't get a fair shot. But I think on paper it still seems like a good idea to me. It still seems like an idea that's viable and sort of whose time has come. But I guess I don't really know. I don't have my finger on the pulse of what's going on in the world. How people are consuming their music. I just sort of what I see and sort of what I assume and what I feel. So it kind of feels to me like people's attention spans have narrowed. Mine has, I think.
Yeah.
That could also just be my age and what I do for a living. I spend more time listening to my own shit than I do, checking out some hot new band from wherever. I don't care. There's so many at this point have come and gone.
Yeah.
And that had such great promise, and they're the next blah blah blah. And it's just like, no, they're not. It was a smash and grab for 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And as somebody who's been doing this for as long as I've been doing it, I don't trust it anymore, and even bands and artists that I respect. I kind of sound like old man yelling at the clouds right now, but even then it's just like it, even you're going to get in on the smash and grab, like just a quick, when you've sort of swam in the deep end,
yeah,
musically, I just don't know if I could. I just don't know if I could do it the other way.
I completely understand.
And having said that, if you swam in the deep end, sort of financially and had sort of global success and all that, maybe it's tough to you don't want to give that up.
Yeah.
Your payments get bigger and your staff gets bigger and shit like that. I don't know. But yeah, it's just to me, if I'm still able to, sing and play and I can sort of feel myself growing, I'm going to push it and I'm going to keep working at it and keep trying to experiment. And, there's still so much, I feel like there's so much that I want to say musically that I haven't even learned yet.
Yeah.
It takes time to learn it and process it and, not just sort of staple it to a new song, but to have it become part of your own vernacular and write from that place. So it's hard to say, back to what you asked. It's hard to say what works and what doesn't. I'll defer to the grown-ups, and our manager was like, yeah, let's just put a full-length album. I was like, okay.
Yeah.
You're not going to get a fight from me. Like it's not like, well, we had our good song on this part of it, and the rest of it is And I say this all the time too. We pay the exact same amount of attention to each piece of music we put out.
Right.
I don't believe in picking favorites. Every time I have, I've been wrong. Anytime I've picked a single, like this is the one, I'm always wrong. You know?
That's interesting.
And I don't really care because it's not like, well, we got that one, so the rest of it doesn't matter. And no, there's the stuff that doesn't matter is usually the stuff that doesn't make the record.
Yeah.
And even that stuff, I'm like, well, it's just not ready yet. I haven't figured that one out yet, or whatever it is. You can come back to something 20 minutes later or 20 years later, and it can hit you in a different way. And if it inspires you, even just a couple degrees off, that can spark a whole new thing. And I don't know. I don't really have rules where that stuff's concerned. But like I say, I mean, I'm if it's made it far enough to the point where I've sent it to the guys as like, what do you think of this? Then I think that there's something there, even if they don't, and then if they say, "Meh," then I'm like, okay, well, why? And then I'll start to, sort of reverse engineer shit and start trying to figure out how to make it the way it's feeling to me, how to make it feel that way to everyone else. And then, that's where the guys come in very handy with that stuff, as does, Nick and Eric Ratz and those guys, just helping things be realized.
Do you think that that's what brings the strength of being in a band as opposed to being a solo artist, that kind of collaboration, and that, you have to prove it to them and therefore it'll be a better project? Because I personally think when George Lucas had to answer to everybody, he made better Star Wars movies. And then when he was George Lucas and no one could say no, we get Jar Jar Binks. So is it better to be in a band?
That's the first thing that popped into my head was Jar Jar Binks. It makes me uncomfortable. I don't want to show that to my kid. Yeah, I think that, and I mean, once you start believing in your own bullshit, it's probably pretty tough to come back. Band or solo artist, whatever you want to call it. You're surrounding yourself with people that are at the top of their game. And if you have a good rapport, if you have a good relationship with them and you trust them and they trust you, if the communication is clean, I think, and I've said this a million times, but the biggest ego in the room has to be the song. It has to be the music.
So true.
Two speakers are that's the truth serum. Is it working? And if it's like is it just working because of this thing that I really like that is now buried in the mix? And all those little things you have to get that shit out of the way and just be honest with yourself and listen to it and like, is it working? Having said that, there are disagreements all the time. And it happened on this record. Like there was a song called Laws of Man that like the original demo, we as a band, we adored it. And it was a different take. It was a different vibe, a different flavor for us, and sort of uncharted territory, I think, in a way. Like we hadn't really gone down. And I love Doobie Brothers and Mike McDonald and Christopher Cross, and this stuff that you would deem as yacht rock or whatever.
Love it.
Love yacht rock.
Too, and there's an atmosphere and a vibe to that stuff that just sort of washes over you. And the original demo for Laws of Man was I don't think it sounded like that, but I was listening to a lot of it at the time, so I think the inspiration sort of was filtered through that. And I loved it. Nick was like, nah, it sounds new age. So he was like, and he really put his foot down. He was like, nah, I love the song. I don't like the treatment. Huh. And then he was like, well, what if we tried something acoustic? So I quickly I think in the studio, I just kind of like I grabbed my dobro and tuned it to an open tuning, and then quickly came up with an arrangement, and that was it. And I love that. It's great too. But like a few weeks ago, I went back through the hard drive and I was like, I wonder if I still got that old demo. And I listened to it and I was like, fuck, this is good. So maybe at some point, and that happens. That happens not a lot, but sometimes. Sometimes you go back and listen to the demo, like, oh, he was right. But
Yeah.
I think he might have. I kind of think he might have fouled the ball on that one. But what we did get out of it was something that's wonderful as well. It's not like I don't like the dobro version. My Chris Whitley rip. I think it's great too, and I'm a huge Whitley fan.
You mentioned working with Nick, and I'm one of those guys. I was a musician for quite a while, and I was, we're probably similar in generation. Like I'm 54, so I'm the guy that would always want to read the liner notes and know who worked on what. So Nick's name was always a name that I saw. I think, if I'm not mistaken, he worked a lot with Terry Date at one point. But I know that he was an engineer on a lot of records that I really, really liked, and then became a producer in his own right. And I know he's been working with you for a while now, and he's worked with a lot of my friends. He's worked with the guys in Mastodon. So a lot of people really like him, and he has a great reputation. But, he first came on my radar when I knew he was working at a Sound City, because I was in LA in like the mid to late 90s. What's he like? Because I've never got a chance to chat with him. He's one of these guys I'd love to have on the podcast. I imagine if you work with him a few times, you guys have some kind of a relationship.
Oh, yeah, no, I love him to bits. He's great. Huge heart and wholly committed to having things be the best they can be. I think one of his sort of special gifts is coming in with ideas that maybe I haven't thought of.
Yeah.
And it usually happens with, excuse me, with a song that maybe is not quite there, but there's something there, and well, what is it, And I always know that if there's something there that nobody else can hear, but I'm like, there's fucking something in there. What? I know I can send it to him, and he'll be like, okay, here's what we're gonna do. And that happens, that happens quite often, and I think we end up with songs and with music that otherwise wouldn't have made the record, because I come up with a lot of stuff, and some of it I won't put vocals or lyrics on, just because it's just a piece of music. I'm like, what do you think of this? And he'll be like, okay, here's what we're gonna do, and because he reacts to it, whereas everybody else is like, well, where's the chorus? Where's the rhyming words? And that's something that, that's invaluable to have, and it's inspiring. It instantly fills your sail, and you're ready to, I can't wait to get down here and hammer this thing out.
Yeah.
And that's sometimes, the most important ingredient in a producer. Rats is the same way. He'll hear something, and when they get excited, you get excited. And I think one of his special gifts is not only just having out of the box ideas, but just maintaining a real innocence when he listens to music. Trying to listen to it as if he's listening to a piece of music for the first time.
Yeah.
Because if you think about it, when you're in the studio and you're working on something, you're listening most of the time. You listen to a song thousands of times before anyone else hears it.
He works on, not to cut you off, but he worked on Tiny Pictures with you, and at the same time in that same year, Alice in Chains puts out Black Gives Way to Blue, which was the record that everyone was wondering, will they still have a career?
Yeah.
Did you guys ever have conversations? Like, were you guys in touch a lot during that point? Like, had you worked on that record before? Had he worked on that before you, or vice versa? Because I'm sure being a guy who, like, you're a music fan, and you had to have the same questions we all had, like, what's going on in that camp,
Yeah, he was pretty hush-hush about it.
Okay.
But I remember the gold top that's behind me, I remember he took that for a while. And he was like, oh, Jerry really likes that guitar. I was like, oh, cool. He's got good taste. but yeah, I mean, I don't know if I was. I'm not the kind of guy who's going to be like,
No, but I mean, if you're friends with someone and they're working on a project like that, where
Yeah,
I
he
mean,
was pretty hush hush about it. He's an adult, and
yeah,
I think they were keeping pretty tight lipped about what was going on. So he's not going to talk out of school and I'm doing it. I think he had mentioned it to me, and I was like, oh cool, But beyond that, I wasn't like, send me some stuff. I want to hear it.
no, for sure. But I mean, it was crazy how that record, it was such a turning point for them, and it cemented the fact that they were as relevant as ever.
Great sounding record. Yeah.
Yes,
and like it's really and I think it's something like that would be so easy to drop the ball, right?
yeah,
And I think they approached it the right way, and he approached it the right way. It was handled with care and was done right.
yeah, and so was Tiny Pictures.
Oh, thanks. Yeah.
It's amazing that you seem so excited to still create, to still write. I've seen so many acts that have been around for decades, and they're just kind of like, they've kind of settled. They're like, okay, well, here's a song you all know, and here's some other songs you're going to wait to listen to before you hear the song you all know. And they're kind of complacent with that. I like the fact that you're still this excited, and the fact that I saw an Iron Maiden show where they played nothing but new songs. And at the time, and this is 15 years ago, and at the time I was a little bummed. But then I realized, I'm like, yeah, but here we are 15 years later. The creative process is still going. They're still writing great music.
Yeah.
And it's kind of nice that they had that trust in their fans to go along to ride with them. And it just goes to show that every time you write a new song could potentially be someone's favorite new song. For instance, I think Holy Roller is fucking amazing. I fuck the Van Halen vibes. I've never heard you touch into that with not just the tapping. I mean, vocally, the swagger, the fucking swing. It's the heaviest fucking thing I've ever heard. I've ever heard you guys do. It's so awesome. Can you tell me a little bit more about Holy Roller? Because that's a fucking awesome song.
Again, just like all the others, it was just I might have been a little more hesitant to fire that one off to the boys, like, because it was I think it was actually, I just had like the riff and a scatting vocal. It hadn't been arranged at all, but and I think Dave McMillan, I think he was over at the house and heard it. We got to do that. We got to do that. I think it might have been him, and I was like, okay, fucking why not? And then I flushed it out a little more, and then sent it off to the guys. Like, what do you think of this? And everybody came back with a resounding yes. And I think, again, it's something that I didn't grow up listening to that kind of stuff, and obviously I have a great reverence for it. I think everything that Eddie did, that's decades later, his influence is still echoing through the rock community, the guitar community, but certainly in the '80s, like what he birthed, and all the eggs that he planted everywhere, that all these other guitar guys started, taking pages out of his book and doing interesting stuff with. Maybe not always musically, but technique wise. I think Eddie was always a music first kind of guy. But yeah, and I just, I thought it would be fun, and it would be a bit of a surprise, if Big Wreck came out with a song that had that kind of, as you said, swagger and that kind of unapologetic, just, let's just go there. Let's get the hairspray and the spandex.
I love it.
And we had a hoot doing it. The lyrics to that one had to change, because originally it was about a priest, who was doing some awful shit, and then it was and then Dave said, because after I put the lyric down, McMillan said that it was like I think his son was like 10 or 11 at the time. He's like, yeah, that's my son's favorite tune. When we're in the car, he's like, Craig Holy Roller. And I was just like, oh no.
Shit.
Maybe we gotta
retool that one
on those lyrics. So I just kind of changed the story kept the term Holy Roller, but changed the story from from a horrible priest guy to a guy who stayed at the party too long, kind of Frank the Tank from
Old school. Yeah.
Yeah, that sort of character.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah, I like how Frank the Tank. That movie came out so long ago that I was the college age of the kids, and now I'm the age of Will Ferrell. And every time I drink, I'm worried I'm going to Frank the Tank out because I'm out of practice.
Well, it's funny how that all those movies have that character, and when you look at Fubar, Tron, it was the same thing. Tron was that guy. Well, we've all known that guy, that one guy. And you always wonder, where does that guy end up?
I think I've been that guy once or twice.
You're playing a show next week, I believe, at the Phoenix. Just to kick off I guess it's an album release show, and then the touring starts in February.
Yeah. Go ahead.
What can people expect from the show in Toronto and then the tour? I mean, obviously the tour is a massive one. If you're any kind of a rock fan, I mean, you got everything for every taste on that bill. It's a great bill.
It should be fun. As far as the show next week, I think it'd be nice to pull out some stuff from the new record. But again, like people will not have heard it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do like what you were saying about. I've never been a fan of doing it. I get the thrust, and that's sort of. I don't know, like the way that you can be about your own creativity and your own. Well, this is where I'm at now, and I need to make a stand. And say, well, people have paid money to come here. That's happened to me too. A few times where I've gone to concerts and I'm like, what's happening? Like, fucking thing. Like, let me hear it. I'm here to hear your big songs. Like, I don't know if they're your best. I'm not like I don't have a tattoo of your band, but I want to hear the reason why you're here.
Yeah.
And I've always that's always in the back of my mind when I'm building set lists or when we're talking about building set lists together as a band. I'm always like, you gotta play the hits, and I don't mind doing it. There's only like one or two songs that I'm, every once in a while I'm like, fuck, I really don't want to do this. Once you get into it and people start reacting to it, I'm fine with it.
Yeah.
But for the most part, it's I love all the music, so I don't mind playing. And it's not like we have hits that are stamped to a time and place and that are just so outdated. They just don't sound right, or we have things that we can morph into however.
True.
Yeah, I think we're kind of lucky that way. But having said that, it would be nice to work on some of the stuff from the new record, and see what we can get away with, what translates live. That's another thing that has changed so drastically since I started. It's like we'd write a song and I'd come put the thing together. We'd bash it around in a garage or something, or in somebody's basement, and then we'd take it to the stage.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, this one, when you're first coming out, you don't have a record out yet, you gauge the reaction off of the songs that you're playing that nobody's ever heard before.
Yeah.
And then, first record comes out, then it becomes, as you're writing songs and you're doing that, you start sort of acid testing them on the crowd, and oftentimes it's like, well, I know that once I record it and once people have heard it and then we start performing, I know it's going to morph into what it's supposed to be, because the live thing was just as important as the recorded song. I think I was talking to somebody about it, and they said Gordon Downey had a quote like, I guess I'll finish this one on the road,
Yeah.
Like that. Like where it was some songs you sort of leave a little open-ended because that it's kind of like the crowd reaction is going to help you finish it. But nowadays you can't do that. That's gone. So if we try that, it's up on, somewhere.
Yeah.
and it's like, and everybody's got a fucking opinion on it. And, well, they really shouldn't. It's okay.
Oh fuck.
Right. So you know,
you're talking about like hits and playing the hits, and that whole thing about like, Queens of the Stone Age maybe a week ago debuted a new song, when they were playing, and everyone immediately is all over it. And I'm just like, as a fan, I'm like, this is amazing because I'm hearing this. They're not coming through here for another year probably, so I get to hear it early. But then there's the other part of that just sucks.
and the other side of that is they're in a position where they can do something like that, and their fan base is at such a scale where that'll move the needle.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And they could probably afford to rehearse as long as they want, or as long sound checks as they want.
For sure.
I mean, some of those things are sort of the size of the suit that you grow into, and some of it you're allowed to get away with a little more. And I think like Queens has always sort of been, they're always thinking outside the box and doing cool shit like that.
Yeah.
It doesn't surprise me, but that's cool that they did that. But I mean, if you have something that is like, this is ready, and we've already recorded it, and this is how it's going to be.
Yeah.
That's one thing, because then you're just playing what you've recorded, and you can sort of work it. But the problem is, if you get that 6 months down the track and people love it and blah, 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 and it's grown into this thing alive, it's like, well, do you go back and re-record it?
Yeah. Right. Exactly.
And invariably that happens with stuff that we've had that has, been on radio for years, where I'm just like, fuck, I really missed the boat on that. Like, how did I not see that? Like, all of a sudden, one night after we've been playing it for 9 months, this thing just, a penny drops, and I'm like, that's how I'm supposed to end the chorus.
Yeah.
Yeah. And not that you forced it initially, it's just that's where you were at. And it's like, well, this one gets the audience reaction. And not being able to acid test things like that is definitely changed.
Oh yeah.
And then there's the live version of songs. Like, I remember hearing that Weird Al famously covered the Dire Straits songs "Money for Nothing," but it's the Beverly Hillbillies, and the Dire Straits guy is like, "Yeah, I'll play on it," and he came and played on it, but he played the live version. The evolution of what the guitar riff became live. The studio version was one thing, but after playing it for so long, they changed it, and they can really tell the guy from Dire Straits to play his own song more accurately. But that's interesting. I know that live versions of songs, there's an evolution. Sometimes there is a live version. They get longer, they get shorter, they get faster. My God, do they get faster?
Yeah, like changes in tempo and stuff like that. I'm an old school guy. Obviously, I love just the idea of having a live version of something be different than the recorded version, because otherwise you could just stay home and listen to it, and you don't have to wait in line and stand there and be next to people that are doing whatever. Like, you can just sort of be in your own little cocoon.
Well, if you look at Cheap Trick, nothing worked until they did Live at Budokan, and all those songs were recorded and they were produced on the album. But I Want You to Want Me is way better live.
Yeah. I don't know anything about Cheap Trick, but yeah, I see.
Well, Ian, thank you for taking the time, man. Really appreciate it. The album comes out next week. The tour is kicking off in February, and you're going to be in Montreal, I believe, in March. So looking forward to that. And if you get a chance when you're on that run, if you haven't seen them yet, the first band that's playing is called The Damn Truth, or Montreal band. Great band. Try to check them out at one point.
Yeah, I'm sure I will.
Thanks for taking the time, man. Appreciate you.
Good to see you again, bud.
Yeah, man.
You have great taste in glasses. Yes, I'm really glad they changed the lyric theme to Holy Roll.
I know, it's a great story. Yeah. It's a great story.
Yeah.
It's for sure. It's you would not want. That was a good one. When you got a kid going, that's my favorite song.
Yeah, and they didn't change the name, considering it sounds like Van Halen to Hot for Preacher or something.
God,
that'd been really messed up.
Stop. So we've got a lot coming up. We've got a lot going on. But I do stress to people, if you have not heard the record, go pick it up.
That's awesome.
It's really, really good. It's really good from front to back. It's just fucking solid. And they are going to be playing in Montreal. The Montreal date is March Okay, so March 10th, they're going to be in Laval. March 11th in Quebec City. And
Who are they playing with in Laval again? It's
so, dude, the whole lineup. Okay, the tour, it's a national tour. It starts in Abbotsford, where it's funny, it's in Abbotsford, and that's where I saw April 1 with our friend Babbins and BTO last year. So they're going out with Live.
nice.
And their immediate support to Live, also on the bill, Econoline Crush and The Damn Truth. So
That's
that
a
is
damn good bill.
it's a fucking phenomenal bill for rock and roll. So that is one you do not want to miss. And that is going to be kicking off February 23rd. And it's going to be going right until March 14th. So it literally goes coast to coast, starting in Abbotsford, ending in Halifax. And the Montreal date, for those who are in Montreal, because we do have a lot of Montreal listeners, the 10th of March at Plus Bell in Laval. So definitely one you want to keep on the radar. We'll remind you too as it gets closer. We're off to Winnipeg Comic-Con.
Yep.
I'm looking forward to that.
We're off to the peg.
We're off to the peg, or as like some people, someone told me I don't want to say it. I can't say it. I'm not gonna say it. But listen, it's our 5th year doing it in Winnipeg.
Yep.
Never have an issue there. I love
Yep.
Winnipeg. We have a good time there. And someone goes, just be careful. I'm like, why? He goes, because it's the stabbing capital of North America. I'm like, what? Yeah, we call Manitoba Stabatoba. Don't get that. Haven't seen that yet.
That's a whole province.
maybe it's more in the outskirts, but yes, we are going for Winnipeg Comic-Con. It's going to be fun. We're going to be hanging out with our friend Gary Pullen, who's also known as Ghoulish Gary.
Yep.
If you don't know Ghoulish Gary, check him out. It's great. This is his book. We got to get him on the podcast soon too.
Hell yeah, sir.
We got to have him on, like, proper, like long form, talk about his career. And we're going to be hanging out with the guys at Trans-Canada Brewery as well. He did the beer for them, the beer can for them. And I know you like Winnipeg, because Winnipeg's a lot of fun.
I'm just so stoked to get on a plane.
Yeah.
That's post-pandemic life. It's like, wow, we're traveling. No, I like Winnipeg a lot, actually.
Yeah.
For what I see of Winnipeg, I see the 4 city blocks that surround the convention center, because the hotel's attached to it. But damn, I have a good time because I can, let my hair down and not just, I'm less tired there because I'm nowhere near home. So yeah.
It's fun. It's fun to get away, and you really get to get away when we go there. So make sure if you are at Winnipeg Comic-Con, say hi to us. And we've got a lot of great stuff coming up for the rest of the fall. Keep it locked on our socials. Make sure you follow us on Instagram. Sometimes there'll be special content there, and on Facebook as well, at the Rockman Power Hour. Make sure you like and subscribe if you're watching us on YouTube, because that really helps. And all the other streaming services, if you're listening to the audio. We appreciate all the support. We appreciate all you guys reposting, and any suggestions you have of who you want us to talk about or what you'd like us to talk about, let us know in any of the comments where comments are available. And thanks to my co-host Ryan Stick, thanks to my producer Julia Kajerski, and thanks to all of you for following us here on the Rockman Power Hour. We'll see you next time. Hey, thanks so much for watching the podcast. We really appreciate your support. And if you're enjoying the podcast, click this link right over here to watch the next episode, and click right over here and subscribe. And that way you won't miss anything.